Rangers come back from 3-0 down in the third period, but they lose in the shootout to the Philadelphia Flyers by a score of 4-3. And this was a definite improvement from the Islander game, but still disappointing. I expected this to be an easy win. The Rangers did outshoot the Flyers 46-26, and the Rangers have had problems giving up goals early in periods. That's been a bit of a trend lately, and the Flyers really jump out to that early lead. Just in general, the Rangers are playing from behind a lot. That's why they have the most comeback wins in the league, is that they really aren't playing from ahead, and that makes things a lot more challenging. But no matter how you slice it, this is a game the Rangers should have come away with 2 points. Give Martin Jones credit. He played well. And once you do get to overtime or shootout, anything can happen. So I'm not overly upset with the effort, but I think that coming off of the embarrassment of the Islander game, you would have hoped for a little bit of a stronger, tighter start. And the Rangers have made a lot of turnovers, which have resulted in really prime opportunities for the opposition, and the Flyers took advantage. So the Rangers made some lineup changes as expected on defense. Justin Braun replaced Braden Schneider, and the Nemeth Braun pair didn't really play a whole lot. They were on a goal against for the Flyers' first goal, which was really just a lost faceoff. They had nothing to do with it, but I think it's really in their best interest to at least try Braun with Schneider and see how that goes. Like, what do you really have to lose at this point? Because I don't think Nemeth and Braun, to me, seems like a pair that just isn't mobile enough to really succeed. I mean, yes, they have size. Yes, they have playoff experience, and they could be serviceable enough, but I just don't know how I feel about that particular pair. So, if Chris Drury could have done something different, it probably would have been to acquire a left-handed defenseman, but it almost feels like Patrick Nemeth, his spot really wasn't going to be replaced. I think it speaks more to that, and that I think that they had less trust in Braden Schneider, and so that's why they felt that a right-hand defenseman in Braun made sense. Forwards, much to my surprise, Julian Gautier was back in the lineup. I honestly thought that he was going to be a healthy scratch for the rest of the season. I guess they figured, let's get him in there just in case we might need him at some point, but that did not go too well. And so Gautier in, as well as Johnny Brodzinski, and out of the lineup was Dryden Hunt. And Brodzinski, he played last game against the Islanders. I believe that he did play. No, right, of course, no, McKegg. So Greg McKegg was out, as well as Dryden Hunt. And these changes really didn't do a whole lot. I think that Ryan Reeves needs to be taken out of the lineup for sure. He took another penalty in this one. He's just really not adding a whole lot. I don't think that his presence is anything that's really necessary at this point. So still no Ryan Strome, and we're still awaiting the return of Kakko and Rooney. So there's been some line juggling. We'll see what the Devil game brings. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that these lines really did a whole lot in this one. That we're going to, again, this is a game where come third period, Gallant was switching it up again. So it kind of remains to be seen what he does next game. But like I said, Flyers jump out to an early 2-0 lead as Cam York scores at 5:54 of the first period. And this was not a good goal by Igor Shesterkin. This was a lost faceoff by Andrew Kopp. York takes a shot for the point. It kind of knuckled and went past Shesterkin. That's definitely one that he'd like to have back. And then 50 seconds later, the Flyers make it 2-0 as Owen Tippett, the former Florida Panther, who the Flyers got in the Claude Giroux trade, he scores, assisted by former Ranger Kevin Hayes. And this is a play where Julian Gautier is trying to get off the ice, and Jacob Trouba hits him with the puck. I mean, I'm not sure who Trouba was trying to pass it to, but it got deflected by Gautier, and so Gautier had to stay on the ice, and it took Trouba out of position, and Tippett ends up with a pretty open shot in the score. So just a mess all around. I think Trouba and Gautier both deserve blame for that goal, and we've seen Trouba lately with a couple of mishaps that have led to goals. And so, it's been a great season for him, but I think he needs to cut down on some of the turnovers. And like I said, Gautier, it's just, I don't think there's any reason for him to play the rest of the season. I mean, unless you have absolutely nothing to play for at all, like the last couple of games, if there's anything meaningful on the line, he should not be in the lineup. So the Flyers are up 2-0. And the Rangers had a lot of chances in the first. They did outshoot the Flyers 13-8 in that period, but it was not really the opener that you would expect after, Gerard Gallant was furious after last game. I didn't think that first period was what was expected, and it was kind of disappointing, and the Flyers were up 2-0. Then in the second period, the Rangers picked up their game a bit. They did draw a couple of power plays. Van Riemsdyk tripped Nemeth at 9:07, power play unsuccessful, and then Hodgson holds Fox with about 4 minutes left in the period, also unsuccessful. So the Rangers' power play has not been as good lately. It's fair to speculate whether Ryan Strome being out, even though out of the five, he clearly makes the least impact to me, but could Strome being out have caused some issues? Sure. And I think it goes without saying that Strome being in the lineup isn't a good thing. As much as I like the fact that Kopp is getting more of a look with Panarin as second line center, I think that is beneficial. Strome being out, it puts people in situations that they shouldn't be. And so while I'm looking forward to Strome coming back, I still don't really want it to be with Panarin, but that's probably a foregone conclusion. So the Flyers are up 2-0 going into the third. And the Rangers are going to really give it everything they have, considering everything. And the Rangers give up a goal early in the third. So the Flyers make it 3-0. Adam Fox in the offensive zone kind of makes a blind pass to no one. And 44 seconds in, it's kind of a mini 2-on-0. Breakaway by Sanheim, who kind of feeds it over to Farabee, and Farabee scores his 16th goal of the season to give Philly a 3-0 lead. So at that point, I'm thinking, well, this is going to be a definite loss, but give the Rangers credit. They did fight back, and they scored immediately after. It was a goal by Artemi Panarin, his 19th goal of the season, on a shot from the point by Jacob Trouba. Another assist to Keandre Miller. And so the Rangers cut it to 3-1. And unfortunately, they would take a couple of penalties, and there were some shorthanded chances, but still, it's not what you want to do. And Ryan Reeves takes a high sticking penalty. So, like I said with Reeves, I don't even think he should be in against the Devils. Now, that's a game where normally I'd want him in there, and if I had to predict, I think he will be, but it's just not necessary. He should not be in the game against Pittsburgh. Like, you want to play against the Devils, fine. He should not be in the lineup against the Penguins. So Reeves takes a penalty, and then they call a hooking penalty on Panarin, which was really weak. He barely touched the guy, Sanheim, and so the Rangers had, I think on that specific one, Kopp had a mini breakaway stopped by Martin Jones, and a 2-on-1 failed connection from Zibanejad to Kreider. So it's still 3-1. And the Rangers eventually score to cut it to 3-2. It's a goal by Mika Zibanejad, his 27th goal of the season, on a shot by Frank Vetrano. And the other assist goes to Ryan Lindgren. So it's 3-2 with about 4:30 left. And 12 seconds after that goal, Andrew Kopp ties it up. And it's his third goal as a Ranger, 16th goal overall. Really nice pass by Panarin. And the other assist goes to Goodrow, as that was a line that was formed later in the game. The original line had Brodzinski playing with Kopp and Panarin, but they moved Brodzinski down, moved Goodrow up. And so within 12 seconds, it goes from 3-1 to 3-3. And to make things even better, the Rangers get a power play as Ryan Lindgren is tripped with a little over 3 minutes left, but the power play doesn't score. And to me, that's where the game was lost. You had all the momentum, all of it going for you at that point. And unfortunately, the Rangers failed to take the lead and ultimately win this game. So we head to overtime. And at this point, anything can happen. Really throw what happened previously at the window. To me, like previous records, sure. The Rangers, you like to think in this situation versus a Flyer team that, has traded off pieces at the deadline, this and that. The Rangers should have absolutely won this game. And they had their chances, although not great ones, in overtime. And eventually Chris Kreider takes a high sticking penalty with a little over 30 seconds left in the overtime session, but no harm, no foul. So we go to the shootout. And the Flyers' first shooter was Cam Atkinson, who was stopped by Shesterkin. Then it would be Mika Zibanejad, and he would be unsuccessful. So Zibanejad is stopped. Then Owen Tippett, saved by Shesterkin. And then Artemi Panarin, who at that point, kind of your window to victory was right there. You get a Panarin goal, you hope to get a Shesterkin save, and you walk out of there with 2 points. But Panarin, which he never does this, just completely flubs the puck, kind of lost control of it, and it was a really bad attempt. And then you see Kevin Hayes up there, and Kevin Hayes isn't someone that has great shootout numbers, as we can remember with the Rangers. I think they said going into this maybe 3 for 11, nothing spectacular, but you could kind of feel like, well, Kevin Hayes at the Garden, chance to maybe win it, that he would score, and sure enough, he does. Hayes scores, and then for some reason, even though it was a good attempt, Philip Hedl was the final shooter. And I figured that they would have went Lafreniere. I just feel like overall Lafreniere doesn't get as much usage across the board as he should. This included, we've seen Lafreniere in the clutch come through. Hedl, and this is something that you can't really quantify, but Hedl is someone that has not really come through in the big moments. And like I said, it was the best attempt of the 3, so it's not his fault. But a little bit of a strange choice. Martin Jones makes the save, and the Flyers win 4-3 in the shootout. And I think really good comeback by the Rangers. Look, down 3-0 in the third period, for them to be able to tie it up is definitely a good thing. But considering the previous game, that was disappointing to only get a point. There's definite things the Rangers need to work on, and this will be an interesting game against the Devils before a really big Penguin game. So the Rangers, as I've said numerous times, they've only had a 3-game losing streak once, and within that, they got 2 points. So now, while they won't get 3 straight regulation losses, which they haven't had because they got this game to a shootout, if they were to, let's say, lose that game regulation, that would be their worst 3-game stretch of the season and only getting 1 point. But I'd like to think that against the Devils, considering how they were embarrassed by New Jersey the last time they played, that they'll be motivated. But at this point, it's tough to say what will happen. Jack Hughes did get hurt in the game today for the Devils, so him being out would be a pretty big loss for New Jersey if that happens. Also, I predict that Alex Georgiev will be in net for New Jersey. Against New Jersey. So that obviously will make things a little bit more difficult for the Rangers. Expect a high-scoring game against the Devils, but hopefully this time they can be on the winning side of it. So we'll see what happens. But the Rangers now, as it stands, are 2 points ahead of Pittsburgh. Same games, and the Rangers play the Devils on Tuesday while Pittsburgh plays Colorado. So you hope that the Rangers can maybe get a win, Pittsburgh gets a loss, and somehow they can be up 4 points going into that really big game against the Penguins at MSG. So again, Rangers lose in a shootout at the Garden 4-3 to the Flyers.